We're back.
We're back, Amazing Grace Sports Network. We are out here to talk about one of the most exciting comparisons that, they're in sports today. We're talking about Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, the GOAT.
The GOAT. Now,
The GOAT.
there's been a lot of comparisons. People are rushing. I don't know if they're rushing. Maybe they're not rushing, but they're jumping to elevate Patrick Mahomes to Tom Brady's status. Listen, the guy's been in what, three of the four last Super Bowls. Well, he's got this much I do know. He's had six straight AFC final championship games, so that's pretty darn good.
It's pretty damn good, but guess what? It's pretty darn familiar.
Really?
Tom Brady went to the Super Bowl 2001, 2003, 2004, right?
Right.
That's pretty comparable to what Mahomes has done so far, right? I think this is Mahomes' fourth Super Bowl.
Right. It's his fourth.
It's his fourth.
Right.
So in those 6 years, a lot of those numbers are comparable, but Tom Brady has been in the league for, I think Tom Brady was in the league for 21 years.
Yeah.
21 years.
21 years. So are we comparing this Mahomes and Brady's first 5 or 6 years? Is that what they're doing here?
Well,
Or first 10 years?
that's the reason we're even having this conversation is because they're looking at a very small window. And as far as I'm concerned, there is no competition. There is no until Mahomes gets into double digits in terms of years that he's played. We don't need to have this conversation now. If no, let's not let's. I will add a little small extra nugget of space to back out of that. If Patrick Mahomes wins the next three or four, then that takes away that requirement of having those double digits. But we know how hard it is to win a Super Bowl,
Yeah.
right?
But
So
he's getting there with regularity. I think if we're talking about when the Patriots beat the Rams, I believe in 2018 is when Patrick Mahomes really arriving on the scene, and they beat them in the championship game. They beat the Chiefs in the championship game. That was Tom Brady's last Super Bowl, 2018. And if we're talking about from that time, we're talking about 5 or 6 years, and in those 5 or 6 years, he's been in the let's just call it 6 years. He's been in the Super Bowl 4 times.
yeah,
Yeah. So this is not an accident that he's getting there. This guy is pretty darn good. He's uh he's done it with Tyreek Hill. He's doing it without Tyreek Hill. He did it with some players that aren't there anymore.
Juju Smith-Schuster, who is not
Yeah,
big. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I don't even know if he's still a Patriot, but so he's done it with different people and different personnel, and he's managed to get back there. So it does become a ballot after a period of time. If we look at it, it is a ballot. You know, for lack of a better word, conversation.
Well, no, I don't think anybody ever questioned whether there was any validity to it. I think there's definitely a reason to have the conversation. I think when people talk about he's the best quarterback, okay, I'll go ahead and give someone credit that I commonly debate sports with, and he said he's the best quarterback we've ever seen.
He's the best
Now,
quarterback. What?
the best quarterback that we have ever seen. So if you want to go ahead and say the best quarterback we have ever seen in 6 years,
Yeah. I agree with that.
I think, yeah, we've seen a lot. This guy has done things that we had never seen anybody do. You know what we've seen in 6 years? We've seen guys get better.
We've seen guys get worse.
We've seen guys get worse.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine this guy getting any better. If he gets any better, man,
You
we're
might
talking,
just give the trophy to him every freaking year.
yeah, we're talking about. I mean, I don't know what the heck we're talking about if he gets better. And
Yeah.
I don't.
He reminds me of Derek Jeter. I mean, I know it's a different sport, but with Derek Jeter, I mean, the early Derek Jeter, you were always in it. I mean, he had great natural ability, and he had you know, the mental of the game.
Right, right, yeah. He can get that fire. when he needed that fire, right? But he
Right.
also had that likable personality.
Right. He had a very likable personality.
Yeah, yeah. So I can definitely see the comparison there. Think about that. That's a good one on your part.
And
But
he's hard not to like. And he was a Yankee, and we're Red Sox fans, and it was hard. It was hard to be mad at Derek Jeter. Only thing you could say when you looked at Derek Jeter was, "I wish we had him."
no, I think I was happy when A-Rod came because now we got somebody that we don't have to like.
We could hate him. A-Rod was a jerk anyway, but
Right. So Mahomes doesn't have that guy on his team that we would look forward to hating. So yeah, that's why we can easily go for Kansas City because it's hey, he's a likable guy.
he's a likable guy. He's talented.
But listen, make no mistake about it, people. If you're watching this, I want to be very clear. Tom Brady is the GOAT. Okay, it's no question. Is it a conversation? We'll have a conversation about it. Is it a possibility that it may not be a conversation very long?
Yeah, that's a possibility if he wins this and then he goes back there next year. Yeah, it's a
That,
conversation. It might
that's
not, it
that's
might not be a conversation long. Records are made to be broken.
right. So we ask ourselves, what makes him better than Tom Brady if we call him the GOAT? Is it because of the numbers? Is it because of what he does on the field? Is it because of what he, brings as leadership? I mean, it's a lot of things that you could ask. Um, I don't think anybody will ever surpass Tom Brady's fire.
No. Well, Patrick Mahomes is a pretty fiery guy.
I get it, but I still think he's got a long ways to go.
Yeah, he
He's
does. If he wants to keep it up another, see if he can keep this up another 10 years,
got a
okay?
he's got a long ways to go. You still hear Larry Bird quotes about how how competitive he was, and he's been gone now for 30 years,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
right? But you still hear guys talk about, man, that Larry Bird, right?
yeah,
So
right.
I think you're gonna hear guys saying that the same thing about Tom Brady. He's gonna,
Yeah,
yeah, oh man, I hit Tom one time and I got up, and all he told me was expletive, 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 and he did it. you know,
yeah, yeah.
I think those are gonna be
Oh, good hit. He'd say, good hit, number 75, good hit, number, 62. And then he'll go throw a touchdown on you. Michael Strahan had a quote. He said, "We were killing them," and people, you have some Belichick, back scratchers who say that Tom Brady struggled in the game where it was 207 when they had an undefeated season. They blame it on Tom Brady, but I'm going to tell you, the New York Giants defensive line might as well have just been in the backfield. Just should have never lined back up. It's the only way that they could have beat them. They could have got offside because they were in the backfield as soon as the ball was snapped. Michael Strahan said, "We thought they were trying to trick us. We were getting back there so quick on them." He said,
right.
but he never gave up. He never gave up right to the end. Right to the end, we had to keep on him and keep the pressure on him. We wanted to let him let off because we were hitting him so much. But
Yeah,
we couldn't do it because Tom Brady was fighting to the end. After a while, he started taking it personal that he was going to beat us. And we really had to, keep applying the whole pressure the whole game because if we hadn't, he might have came back and got us. But nobody blames Belichick for those lousy offensive lines that he put through, and he never gave Tom Brady a you know solid line. They were just mixing and matching, and Brady had to get rid of the ball and find receivers, and still he almost came back and beat the Giants. But that's the kind of fire that Tom Brady had. That you have to play 48 minutes a game, as many teams found out, or else you might not make it.
I tell you right now, Indianapolis Colts that accused him of cheating and asked him what happened in the second half. He didn't like that very much, and I think everybody else found out how much he didn't like it.
Yeah, he went off for more points in the second half with whatever balls they provided than he scored in the first half.
The
And
only reason he stopped scoring was because the game ended.
right now, if that game was still going on, he would still score.
He
Every 2 or 3 minutes, there'd be another
he
score.
still
Tom
still
Brady going down the field.
he still be lighting you up. So like I said, I think that's one of the questions that we'll see whether or not Mahomes will ever get there. But it's pretty close. It's pretty close.
I don't know if Mahomes is going to get there. It's definitely going to be a thing with time because Tom Brady did it over a period of time, and he did it. I mean, I'm going to tell you, Andy Reid's a better coach than Belichick. he gets Mahomes weapons. He will not shortchange Mahomes weapons. I mean, the guy. I mean, Tyreek Hill left. I mean, he just took the biggest offer he got without even going back to Kansas City because he thought the offer was so big. They probably couldn't match it, so he just saved them the trouble and took the offer. But if you give them half a chance, they're going to get Kelsey's. They're going to go out and get players for Mahomes. He will never shortchange Pat Mahomes. So in that sense, Pat Mahomes is always going to have a good chance, and definitely with the numbers, he will get players who will put up numbers for Pat Mahomes. So his numbers will look good too. And if he does this right, you know, I mean, if we're honest, the Patriots should have won about 10 Super Bowls. I mean, we all talk about the Jabbar Gaffneys and the Shea Caldwells and the rest of the guys that you guys and most of the national media has never heard about. These were receivers for Tom Brady.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that whole conversation about Belichick and Andy Reid, we can have another conversation on that because as far as the coach is concerned, I'm still not going to poo-poo this guy. I think he's arguably one of the best coaches over time. His GM skills proved to be, you know, what they were. But let's give him credit though. He did have some excellent picks that we never would have figured that Danny Woodhead would have been a contributor. We never would have Gronk came out of nowhere. Let's admit, Gronk came out of nowhere.
Well, Gronk was on the radar, but he had back surgery, and that was the reason why Belichick went after him.
Okay,
Now, if Gronk had a washed out, nobody would have thought anything about it because he had back surgery. But because he had back surgery, Bill Belichick was able to get him for cheap. Now
okay,
you have to factor that in.
but
Andy Reid's not going to do that. He's not going to do a double clutch trying to get someone cheap. He's
I
going to go out there and do what it takes to help Pat Mahomes.
I get it. But look what he did with the cheapness that he got. I mean, Deion Branch. I never knew who Deion Branch would have been. I never would have known that. What's his name? Darren Lewis out the backfield, catching what he was doing. Vereen doing what he was doing. He did a lot with players that once they left, it was like, that's right. Yeah, he did play with the Patriots once they left. But
Yeah, but that's saying more about Tom Brady than it is about anything else.
there's another show because
Yeah,
I,
that's saying if these guys didn't do too well after they left the Patriots, that's actually saying more about Tom Brady than about Bill Belichick.
there's some guys that are saying those guys played well within that system, and that system was Tom Brady's system. It was Belichick's system. So again, like I said, it's another show, and I want to be very clear. I'm not going to change up. I
No,
think
I'm going to disagree with you on that. It's not Belichick's system. It was Tom Brady's system that they excelled in because when Belichick had different quarterbacks, that never happened. Hello.
somebody would argue and say Matt Castle did quite well that year. He had to fill in.
You mean with Randy Moss and they went 11, but they went 7. So Matt Castle did fairly well, but they went 16-0 the year before. So he lost what 5 or 6 more games than Brady did. I guess that's fairly well.
Yeah,
I, I guess so.
playoffs. That was the weird thing. They still didn't make the playoffs that year.
It wouldn't have mattered anyway. They would have been out because Matt Castle was a bust. They did a lot of running and trickery, and Matt Castle had Moss and he had Wes Welker in his prime, and
Yeah.
he had Kevin Falk coming out the backfield. So there was a lot of mixing and matching. He was able to do it, but they didn't look that good that year. Neither one of them had good seasons. Not Matt Castle, not Randy Moss, not any of those guys. So I can't say that they excelled without Tom Brady.
No, but you can say that they certainly were competitive. And if you think about it, as bad as this season was, man, I'm telling you, this was a tough season. It was like watching the 1983 Patriots or the 88 Patriots when they had what's that Scott Zolak, and it was this was a pretty tough season.
It was Bill Belichick back there, the coach.
Bill Belichick back.
It was Bill Belichick. He was the coach. Yeah, it was a tough season. You take Tom Brady out the mix, and Bill Belichick is a 400 coach. We
Yeah, man.
can't get around that. I know Brady has made him look like he's something akin to a very very great coach. Okay, But that has not been the case. He bombed out, bombed out of Cleveland in the very same manner that he bombed out of here without Tom Brady. And so I wonder, to me, that says it all because Brady goes and wins with Arians, and nobody's calling Arians a great coach because he won with Brady. They give Arians, it's like Arians doesn't exist. Brady won it all by himself, but there was Arians there. So if we add it up, no, Andy Reid is a much better coach. And you know what? Rex Ryan said this about 10 years ago, and everyone laughed it off. He said, you know, everyone wishes for a guy like Tom Brady. He changes everything. He said, what did I have? I had Mark Sanchez, I had Chad Pennington. He said, you got a guy like Tom Brady. He makes everything look easy. He makes the team follow him. He's a leader on and off the field. He said, if I had a quarterback like that, I'd be looking good too.
Yeah, well, I don't want to spin too far out of control because this is really about Mahomes and Brady.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's about
Yeah,
Mahomes.
so I think you just got finished, shaking the pom pom for Brady for the last 10 minutes. I think you probably got a Brady jersey up underneath that white shirt. But all I'm saying is, I think Tom Brady's the GOAT until further notice, right? Because just think about the same thing. They started talking about this same thing with LeBron after he got those few with Miami, and they started calling him the GOAT, and there was still 12 years to play thereafter. And we're still having the same conversation. Today, we're still talking about Jordan's still better. Yeah. So, we've been down this road before. I think it's going to take a lot to say Mahomes is GOAT, but it's looking real good.
It's looking real good for Mahomes. They're so comparable. The only thing, and it's funny to say this, even though I'm calling Tom Brady the GOAT, is that Mahomes is actually what we would say more physically gifted because he can actually get out of the pocket and run. And I know it doesn't look like Lamar Jackson running. It looks kind of like a guy just running away from things, but it's kind of he only runs when necessary. He's like smart runs. And the thing is, Tom Brady used to do those too. He just wasn't as fast as Mahomes is. Mahomes is kind of quick. I'm not going to say he's fast. He's quick. He's a quick little runner. He makes these little moves and he dances away from you, and yeah, he can get away.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the ability to run, but see, we got also that's a big guy. He's a big guy. But Mahomes, he's a big guy.
Get out of here! No way.
No, he's a big guy. He's not a little guy. I mean, how many times have you seen people bounce off of him?
I've never seen anybody bounce off Patrick Mahomes.
You've never?
Never.
You know who he plays for? Kansas City Chiefs. You ever seen him?
Yeah, I'm looking up his let's see, what is this? Height and weight. I'm looking this up. He doesn't look that big to me.
Yeah, he's like a little fire hydrant back there. I've seen guys bounce off this dude, and he does get down when he gets down. He's a combination of a lot of
things. Yeah, he is. You know what? I'll give you his height. He's 6'2", 225.
He's a big guy.
He's not. Well,
he's a big guy.
He's not.
He's not these little guys that are back there. Is he as tall as Tom Brady? Absolutely not.
No.
But he's more stout than Tom Brady. I mean, that guy, you're not bringing him down easy.
I think it's shifty. I've never seen anyone bounce off. If anybody is listening to this broadcast, and you get a chance, leave some comments if you see people bounce off Patrick Mahomes. I want to move on to another topic here.